So conservative columnist Mark Thiessen was on Fox News last night talking about why he thinks former President Trump might end up losing another election this November.
I'm not surprised that he's raising money. What I'm worried about is his ability to win over Haley voters once this thing is over. You know, when he says anyone who makes a contribution to Bird Brain will be permanently banned from MAGA, you know, does that apply to Haley voters too? You know, it shows that he hasn't learned any lessons from why he lost in 2020. He lost in 2020 because he lost 43,000 swing voters in 3 states. And about 43,000 swing voters will decide this election next November. He's got to win them over. They're not MAGA. They are either Democrats or center-right Republicans who are not big fans of his. He's got to win them over and expand his base, not shrink his base. You don't ban people from MAGA if you want to become president of the United States again.
Well, and we've seen this before, Molly. We saw it in the Arizona governor's race where Kari Lake said McCain Republicans are not welcome in this party. That's exactly who you want in the party. We heard MTG and others, I think it was in New Hampshire, talking about how they were going to expunge people from the party or expel. I don't know what they were saying, but it was something exclusionary. Something that, like, we're going to push more people out of this party, boil it down, make it even more hardcore, more pure. And here you have Donald Trump doing the same. It's the last thing you want to do. Ronald Reagan in 1980, what did he do after he got through a tough primary fight with George H.W. Bush? He hired his campaign manager, James A. Baker III, who went on to become just Reagan's, one of his most important cabinet members and his chief of staff. And that's missing in MAGA land. It's like they want to push away all the people who aren't hardcore. And that's how you lose another election, isn't it?
Yes. And look, Trump has done this since the very beginning, right? Most times a president says, I am the president for all Americans. But because Trump, I actually think it's because he had this shifting electorate and he had all these voters who hadn't voted. I think he thought, and in fact, I know they thought they could get more of those voters, that there was just a sort of supply. And so they did not do this thing where they appealed for all voters, where they tacked to the center. And you're seeing that again, right? He is just, the base is smaller and harder than ever. And they live in a sort of Earth 2 zone where Trump is able to set the narrative and really able to define the truth, which is quite scary and I think very worrying.
Donnie, go back to Joe's point about Marjorie Taylor Greene, her quote to Vaughn Hilliard in New Hampshire the other day, for people who do not fall in line and get behind Donald Trump, is this, quote, we are completely eradicating them from the party. So if you don't follow Donald Trump off the cliff, if you don't hitch your wagon to him, you have no place in the Republican Party, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene. As Mark Thiessen points out, that certainly is no way to win a general election.
I'll tell you the big problem that Trump has and is going to have, and that's with women. And Nikki Haley, and you guys have talked about it a lot this week, but I just want to go back to it. I think she is going to be the real thorn in his side. You know, Trump ran, we've never seen him go mano a mano against a woman, except obviously with Hillary. And with Hillary, he was able to kind of attach her to Bill Clinton and make her crooked Hillary. It's very different with Nikki Haley. You could see even in his struggle with the silly thing he said about his dress, about her dress. First he said, oh, it's fancy. Well, it's not so fancy. And she's got this way, she's just started to do it, kind of flick him in the nose a little bit and say, are you afraid to, he's insecure, you're afraid. For some reason, she occupies a different space with him as far as going against the woman than Hillary did. It's going to be really interesting. I'm going to watch his poll numbers in the next month, and she's not going away. Hillary Clinton is going to be the Democrat, I'm sorry, excuse me. Nikki Haley is going to be the secret weapon. This is a woman he does not know how to go up against. Hillary was an easy target for him. Obviously, what's going on with Roe v. Wade, it's really, he's got a problem with swing voters. He's got a real problem with women, and her name is Nikki Haley.
That is exactly the topic of Morning Mika, actually.
Yeah.
The kind of very unique position I think Nikki Haley is in as a Southern woman, a mother. He hired her as his UN ambassador.
Said she did a great
She's a
job.
public servant.
Yeah.
But she's also from the South, and she is still standing in this primary. It's a completely different scenario. And I think his attacks could turn some people off, perhaps even people who haven't been able to see it up until now. But if he does it to Nikki Haley and she comes back strong and punches hard, it could get very interesting. He could get damaged from a completely different angle for the first time.
No, he could. And again, it's her home state. She's going to be there for a month. He's afraid to debate her, and that's something she should say, as she's saying every day. Why is Donald Trump scared of me? I would say, why is he being a snowflake? Is he afraid he's going to melt on stage? The thing is, he's showing extreme weakness, and I think it's fair for her to ask, are his handlers keeping him away from the debate stage because they're scared that he's going to go out and once again forget what decade this is, forget who he's running against, forget that World War II ended in 1945. Forget that Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House on January the 6th, not Nikki Haley. Forget that Joe Biden is President of the United States and not Barack Obama. I mean, they're scared. They're scared because they think they have to bubble wrap him because he'll do so badly on a debate stage. And she does need to bring that up every single day.
Isn't it also for the Republican Party? I mean, what if something pops with one of his cases? What if something catastrophic happens with one of his cases? Isn't she then an option for them as opposed to no option?
There is no reason for her to get out of this race, whether she takes him head on in South Carolina and it's very competitive, or whether she fights a war of attrition. But again, he's scared. Like, everybody take note in the Republican Party. Donald Trump is scared to debate Nikki Haley. And in MAGA land, let me put it to you this way. You're a big boy, you big man, he's afraid of a woman. Yeah. He's afraid to debate a woman. He's called bird brain. If she's bird brain, then
debate her.
Why doesn't he go up on the stage? Well, you know why. Because he's going to start babbling about Nikki Haley being Speaker of the House and start babbling about Barack Obama, start babbling about World War II, start babbling about windmills, start babbling about really weird things. And let's just face it, I think the people around him have decided Donald Trump's just not up to this anymore. We're going to try to hide him. We're going to keep him off the debate stage because Nikki Haley would bury him alive.